All right, time to bring in our panel and talk a bit of US politics. Firstly, Grahame Morris and Bruce Hawker join us as they do each Monday afternoon. Good to see you both. Thank you very much for joining us. I do just want to start a bit of American politics because it is actually a big week for Hillary Clinton. She's going to clinch the nomination. Now, some reports have her, after a couple of minor state primary wins, 30 delegates now short of the victory. It really matters not what happens from here, except in terms of, well, not the numbers, perhaps. She'll get the nomination. But, Bruce, it's going to be a sour finish to this race if she doesn't win California, one of the biggest states. If Bernie Sanders wins this, it's going to mean a further cloud, really, over what should be such a big week for the Democratic hopeful Hillary Clinton.
Well, it stops her having a triumphant end to the campaign, effectively, if she doesn't win. And some polls have them neck and neck. Others have her ahead by a safe margin. So it wouldn't be good, and it may encourage Sanders, and I hope he doesn't do it, to try to take the nomination to the floor of the convention in late July, in which case he would be trying to appeal to the so-called superdelegates, those who are delegates as of right because of their position in the Democratic Party, to switch their allegiance from Hillary to him. That would be a very messy end to the convention and to the nomination process if that were to happen, and it would not help her as she launched into the campaign proper.
Yeah, I mean, Grahame, how do you think? I guess it can cut two ways, can't it? The fact that the left of the Democrat Party aren't that thrilled with Hillary Clinton, does that make her of more appeal to the centre? Or does the fact that the Democrat Party can't unite behind Hillary Clinton create a bigger problem?
Look, become the election proper, it's not really going to matter. She's not going to get the momentum to finish that she wanted. But you think by the time they start with all the commercials and the gossip about, America having its first female president and whatnot, that is going to build momentum. But isn't it strange? This whole system they have. Last night, Mrs. Clinton got a whole heap of votes out of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico can decide who the presidential candidate can be, but can't vote in the presidential election.
That's an excellent point. They can't. That's
bloody
right.
stupid's that.
Yeah, it's an interesting quirk.
It's a point that they are very unhappy with there in Puerto Rico too, because they're effectively a colony of the United States and have been since the Spanish-American War. And Puerto Ricans don't like it at all. They think that they should have citizenship, or a large number of them do anyway.
All right, I want to get to Aussie politics. Another fascinating start to this week of the campaign. Childcare, the focus. Bruce, talk me through the politics of this. Labor, this is one of their bigger announcements. There are a lot of marginal seats where young families live, and childcare is a big deal for them. It doesn't seem to me like Labor's doing anything here that's going to change the trajectory we're on with escalating childcare costs, but it's wanting to offer more support to families, more help in their hip pocket.
Yeah, well, I guess it's still going to continue to increase the cost of childcare. That's true, and hopefully somewhere along the line, the people that suffer from this, the families, are going to arc up at the childcare centre owners who just keep putting up the price of childcare. That is a bit of a vicious cycle that everyone seems to be caught up in. Very hard to see how you can really avoid that without some form of, price fixing, I guess, in the way in which you set the fees for childcare.
Well, unless you move longer term, I suppose, to a more government-run system like we have for primary schools and higher schools. Yes, you can still have private operators offering the luxury childcare or top shelf childcare, but have some sort of government-run childcare. Is that far-fetched? Is that a stupid idea?
I don't think it's stupid at all. I mean, in New South Wales, they've been doing it for years and years. You have before school childcare, after school childcare. Doesn't necessarily help families with kids who aren't yet at school age, but you can introduce schemes like that, and it could be a sensible extension to the system. But you really have to keep an eye on the cost of these things, because at the end of the day, taxpayers have
that's the point.
Have to pay for it.
And Grahame, regardless of whether Coalition or Labor win this election, the amount taxpayers are pumping into childcare at the moment is about $7 billion. It is going to go past $10 billion, and no end in sight.
Well, that's true. I'm a great believer in childcare, actually, but choice, giving mums and dads different choice. And it just seems to me both parties, both major parties, have sort of the same costings, except it seems to me that childcare teachers have enough problems trying to deal with kids with invisible friends, let alone having to deal with an opposition leader with invisible funding. You know, he's starting to annoy me, and you can see why trade union leaders have stuffed manufacturing in this country over the years, and it just wrecked it. And now we're trying to root Australia. You know, you've got to have the money to pay for stuff.
Well, he says all the figures will be reconciled before Election Day. We'll see. Probably in the final week of the campaign.
Which is standard operating procedure.
I know, it is. It was 2 days before Election Day from the Coalition when they were in opposition last time. What do you think about the... Phil Curry's written about this in the Fin Review today, and it's really interesting, the micro-announcement approach from the Coalition in this campaign. Instead of the big bang billion-dollar policy reforms, it's very targeted. You know, netball court here, an upgrade of your local park there, some lights on the security cameras here. Grahame, what's the approach here, and how much impact will that have?
Look, it's important. You imagine if you were sitting in Beenleigh or Gosford or Katoomba and you say to the local editor, hey, have I got a story for you? Malcolm Turnbull is going to do jobs and growth. Whoa, hold the front page in Gosford. Or you know, Bill Shorten's got 100 policies. Well, stop the presses. It localises. The Prime Minister is there. It shows that the local candidate has clout with the Prime Minister, can get things done. Really important. And both sides are doing it.
Yeah.
And always have. There's a slight difference at the moment. The Coalition is doing more of that than they are big policies aimed at mum and dad. And the Labor Party is doing the sort of big, expensive policies and not so much on the ground. I suspect by the time we get to polling day, it'll be about square, but at the moment, it's a slightly different approach.
Yeah, Bruce, is this a good idea, this micro-targeting approach?
I think it is, and you know, sandbagging is part and parcel of political campaigning, particularly when you're on the back foot. And this is a very important aspect of it. And it's been done since Adam was a boy. There's nothing particularly new about it, but it's good that Phil Curry and the Fin has put a number on it. Because that,
yeah, when you tally it all up.
Yeah, and because the flip side to this is something that Grahame and I would have done over many, many years, starting probably in the 1980s, is to add all that up and then to have your pork barrel register and to say, you know, where's the money coming from, and you know, do the reverse of what the government's doing today on childcare with Labor. And it can actually prove to be a very expensive and difficult thing to quantify. So as long as the costings are there, that's fine. I think it is a very good way of campaigning locally, but beware of the pork barrel register rolling out and catching it.
We're nearly out of time. I just very quickly want to get your thoughts on the opinion polls. Grahame, you first. 50-50 in the Newspoll today. Is that where it is?
I didn't understand this poll at all. If the primary vote was right, then the Coalition will get the biggest hiding in Australia's history. Or Newspoll is measuring something that's never been measured before, and that is all of these people are going to independence and going back to the Coalition to give a 50-50 result. I suspect it's a poll that probably should have gone into the bin.
Oh, all right. Bruce, just a very quick one. Where do you think things are at?
Well, I think a lot of people do park their vote with independents and minor parties until close to election day. It's probably got something to do with the nature of this campaign and an underwhelming response by the electorate at this moment.
All right, Bruce Hawker, Grahame Morris, good to talk to both of you. We'll catch up again next week. Thanks very much. Quick break and then time for the last word.